Hey, Forrest here. Nothing like getting paid. And with ICCU's mobile app, I can deposit checks or accept Zelle payments so the money hits my account fast. I just wish there was an app for mowing the rest of these lawns.
Right now, Lithia Ford of Boise is buying used vehicles. How much you want for the SUV?
I don't know.
Well, Lithia Ford will give you more than that.
How much more?
More than you think.
I'm not thinking anything.
I'm thinking you might get even more than that. See how much more you can get at Lithia Ford of Boise.
When it comes to concrete, we've got you covered. RowPaint.com offers custom concrete coating services for your garage, business, warehouse, and more. And we do it in one day. We are your complete concrete coatings solution.
This is Bronco Nation News Live. The best interviews, the most informed opinions, the latest breaking news, all from the top Boise State insiders. Joining BJ Rains today is KTVB Sports Director Jay Tust. Check him out on Twitter at KTVB Sports Guy and make sure to check out KTVB.com. Today's broadcast is coming from the Cutwater Spirits Canned Cocktail Studios. Check out one of their more than 30 flavors of pre-mixed premium cocktails at your local gas station or grocery store. Now here's Jay Tust and BJ Rains with another edition of Bronco Nation News Live.
Hey, how we doing, Boise State fans? We got started a couple minutes early today because we got a lot to get to. Tyson Degenhart is going to join us live. We'll talk some Boise State basketball. We're going to hear from John Ojuku and Scott Matlock as well as day 2 of the NFL draft gets underway in Kansas City this evening. And then we'll see if tonight's the night for J.L. Skinner. And then we'll see how many other Boise State players can get picked tomorrow on day 3 of the draft. So a lot to get to and didn't want to waste any time. So appreciate you for jumping on with us a couple minutes early here. And if you're coming on late or watching this later, we appreciate you for watching as well. Interesting round 1 in the NFL draft last night. No Mountain West players and nobody really expected to go. Nobody thought J.L. Skinner would go last night. I think tonight is the night where the attention turns to J.L. Skinner and whether or not he is going to go tonight. So get your questions in, get your comments in. Does Skinner go tonight? We're going to have a poll question. It may already be up on the YouTube chat. So if you see the poll question there, what round does J.L. Skinner go in tonight or in the draft? Go ahead and get there in the poll question. If you are watching, we would love for you to subscribe and like this broadcast. You can subscribe to the channel there at the bottom of the page. So make sure you subscribe and like our broadcast. We appreciate that. Jay Tust about to jump on, and we got a lot to talk to Jay about in terms of the NFL draft coming up and J.L. Skinner and really looking forward to talking to Tyson Degenhart as well as we can wrap up our off-season review of the basketball season, and then we'll start our 20 questions with the football season on Monday, looking at some hot topics going into football season. So we'll be joined by Jay in just a second, but first want to get a couple of our sponsorship reads to you. Cutwater Spirits. We're broadcasting from the Cutwater Spirits at Mobile Studios, more than 30 flavors of pre-mixed premium cocktails. Pick one up at your local gas station or grocery store, perfect for your next game day tailgate. It's like 2 for $7 at the gas station. So what are you waiting for? Cutwater will be at our golf tournament, providing some free samples on June 2nd. Can't wait for that. RowPaint.com. They will also be at our golf tournament. ROEPaint.com. That strong, 5 times stronger than epoxy. The one-day install. It's transformational in terms of your back patio, your garage, your basement. We've had them out multiple times to do work on our house, and it's worth every penny. Highly recommend the folks at RowPaint.com. They're scheduling for those concrete coatings now this spring, so check them out. ROEPaint.com. Lithia Ford of Boise, they will also be at the golf tournament. So happy and appreciative and thankful to most of our sponsors are supporting the golf tournament as well. They'll be offering up a hole-in-one, winning you a free Bronco Sport. That's right. Free Bronco Sport with a hole-in-one at the golf tournament. But Lithia Ford of Boise does much more than that. The Rains family is so happy. We've had no problems. It's just been such a great experience with the F-150. It was my first Ford vehicle, and I couldn't be happier that I made the switch. Loving the F-150 from Lithia Ford. And you can find their full inventory of vehicles and purchase a vehicle yourself at Lithia Ford of Boise.com. And if you're not wanting to buy from them, they'll buy your used vehicle. They'll buy it. That's right. They'll make a cash offer on the spot from the appraiser and buy your used vehicle, even if you don't buy from them. Get more information at lifttheaffordboise.com. And Idaho Central Credit Union, they will also be at the golf tournament. They're providing golf gloves, brand new golf glove to all participants, thanks to Idaho Central Credit Union. ICCU.com, the best and the easiest in mobile e-branch online banking. It's so easy. I was moving some money around earlier today. It's just the easiest thing to do with all the different savings accounts, checking accounts, business checking. So thankful that Bronco Nation News made the switch to Idaho Central Credit Union. So Jay Tust going to join us shortly. And while he's jumping on, I do want to tell you about Transportation Compliance Service, transcompservice.com. If you're looking for a new job, check them out, transcompservice.com. They can help you get into the trucking industry. It's a booming industry right now coming off the pandemic, whether it's the big rig on your screen, the Amazon truck in your neighborhood, any delivery service. If you want to looking for a new job, the trucking industry is a big one right now. So check them out, transcompservice.com. They can help you with all the permits and all the things you'll need to get out there towing that first load in no time. I mentioned the NFL draft resuming tonight. Get those answers into the poll question. Where do you think JL Skinner is going to go? Does he go tonight in round 2? Does he go tonight in round 3? Does JL Skinner go all the way till tomorrow in round 4, 5, or 6? Does he have the slide that we've seen so many times, unfortunately, for Boise State players, where we look up and they're still around in the 5th round and we're like, what is going on? Some team is going to get an absolute steal. It seems like that happens almost every year for whatever reason. Hopefully that's not the case for JL Skinner. And by the way, how about JL Skinner randomly meeting Mark Wahlberg in an Albertsons parking lot yesterday or the day before? How crazy was that? Mark Wahlberg doing a promotional trip to Albertsons for his business, some tequila, and he has some healthy sports drinks and stuff. And then next thing you know, he's just randomly walking through the parking lot into the store, and JL Skinner is driving by. That was kind of like when Jay Tust is in the parking lot and you kind of see him when you're walking by. It's I'm sure the feeling was the same for Mark Wahlberg getting to meet JL Skinner, but that was kind of random, Jay. Mark Wahlberg and JL Skinner meeting in the Albertsons parking lot.
So I had heard that Mark Wahlberg was in town, and I was like, I don't know if I believe it. Like, it's got to be a lookalike. Why is Mark Wahlberg in Boise, Idaho, right? And then I get on Instagram, I see JL in his car, and I'm like, wait a minute. Mark Wahlberg's really in Boise, Idaho. It was a pretty kind of surreal moment. So I couldn't believe it. That was unbelievable. And the fact that of all people right now that he runs into, it's JL Skinner, who is kind of the toast of the town. He's going to go in the NFL draft this weekend. That was just wild to me.
Yeah,
I thought they were really going to call Bill Belichick, by the way. I'm assuming that Mark Wahlberg actually has Bill Belichick's number.
Oh, I'm sure he does. Oh, I'm definitely sure he does. Yeah, he's like, let's make the video. He's like, we need a safety. Let's take it, So yeah. Bill says Tust usually has a large entourage with him as well. Do you have the camera crew when you're going into the grocery store and stuff like Mark Wahlberg did?
Come on, bro. You know how it is. I carry my own equipment.
Oh, yeah. Union used to be a union violation. Not anymore, right? I guess.
No.
Jay just shows up. They already have the camera on the tripod for him. They hand him the mic. They do all the editing for you as well. I think they even write your scripts for the shows. You just show up at about 10:20 and pop on and pop off, right?
Yeah, that couldn't be. I know you're being sarcastic. That couldn't be further from the truth.
Well, speaking of
some people do think that though. It's pretty funny when I do carry my own camera or I'm shooting my own stuff, and they go, "Oh, you shoot your own stuff?" I go, "Yep."
Well, Jay, obviously the sports director at KTVB, you'll be following, as we all will tonight, the hope for JL Skinner. And as I mentioned, coming up in about 10 minutes, Tyson Degenhart will join us. We'll wrap up our basketball review series, looking at those guys. We've had fun talking to Chibuzo Abo and Max Rice the last couple of days. We'll talk to Tyson today. And then on Monday, Jay, we'll start get into the football talk a little more. We'll start to look at some offseason storylines surrounding the football team, some questions. Kind of the month of May is going to kind of be a 20 questions. It works out perfectly with the 4 weeks in May that the month of May we'll kind of look at some storylines, some questions facing the football team. And in June and July, we'll kind of get into some individual players and things like that. But we will get to the current team football talk next week. But obviously the former players dominating the right now with JL Skinner And I have a clip from John Ojuku I want to play in a second, and Scott Matlock as well. But J.L. Skinner, I was saying, Jay, that unfortunately Boise State fans are all too familiar with the slides where, would it really shock you if you look up tomorrow in the 4th or 5th round and we're all going, man, how is J.L. Skinner still available? It just seems like it happens every year. I don't think that's going to be the case. When I predicted it, I do have J.L. Skinner going in the 3rd round tonight. I'm hoping for J.L. Skinner's sake, for Boise State's sake, that he does go in the 3rd round. I think he will. But it wouldn't shock me. We've seen the slide before. I hope it doesn't happen, but what's your take on J.L. Skinner and not being able to work out and how that might have impacted things and where you think he ends up?
I'm kind of there with you a little bit. It seems like more often than not, at least in recent Boise State draft history, the guys have slid a little bit. I don't think that's going to be the case with J.L. Skinner. You look at his size, his frame, he's up to 220. He told me the other day that is a lean 220, by the way. Like he's put on 10 pounds, but it's mostly muscle because he's still hovering around 6 or 7% body fat. So I think his versatility is going to be very intriguing for NFL defenses who have to, battle versatile skill sets on offense as much as ever these days in the NFL. So I'm right there with you. It feels like he's destined for the 3rd round, and it would be awesome to see him go in the 3rd round. When it comes to his injury, I think that you look at his career at Boise State, and he kind of had a little knick-knack injuries and things like that. Never anything like really too significant, I would say. So I think that durability won't be too much of a question with him. And even the pec injury that he suffered, clearly that was a little bit of a freak accident, right? And so he's well on his way back from that. The good news is, BJ, he got out to the NFL Combine. Even though he didn't compete, he had the chance to meet with teams. He did get to compete at the Reese's Senior Bowl and meet with teams. He's met with every team in the NFL at least twice. I'm not worried about JL.
Nope. Someone kind of jokingly said they think Scott Matlock goes before him, and then said joking, but wouldn't be totally surprising. JL Skinner, Scott Matlock, both having their draft watch parties here in Boise, along with John Ojuku. So I was joking with Scott Matlock, but tomorrow night, Jay, you may want to we have to check out downtown Boise tomorrow night. If you got 3 NFL draft picks getting drafted, all celebrating in Boise tomorrow night, it could be bottle service at some of the local establishments, maybe.
Yeah. And 2 of them actually from the local area.
That's cool.
Would be really, really cool.
Speaking of the local area, hey, the Blue and Orange store, check them out. Free shipping, any order over $40. If you're needing to buy some Boise State gear, look no further than the Blue and Orange store. The 2nd floor of the Boise Town Square Mall, right next to Pro Image, where the families of Scott Matlock and J.L. Skinner and a lot of teams may be running out to Pro Image to buy the hats and shirts of whatever team drafts them. That's right there on the 2nd floor of the mall, right next to the Blue and Orange store. So go check them out, theblueandorange.store.com. Ridley's Family Markets, 13 Idaho locations. ShopRidley's.com. You can find a location near you at ShopRidley's.com and go download the Ridley's app in your smartphone for exclusive savings of up to 40%. You need a dentist? How about Dr. Minor and Boise Dentistry Co.? Locations across the Treasure Valley. Check them out, BoiseDentistryCo.com. They make it an enjoyable experience to go to the dentist. Highly recommend Dr. Minor and his staff. Find a location, again, 5 around the area, BoiseDentistryCo.com. We're working with United Commercial Insurance right now to boost up our business insurance as we continue to do big things at Bronco Nation News, and they make it easy. They can write policies in 44 states around the country, too. So not just in Idaho, pretty much anywhere they can help you out. United Commercial Insurance, any kind of workers' comp, liability, any business insurance, they can take care of you at UnitedCommercialInsurance.com. You know who else can take care of you? Matt Bauscher. Matt Bauscher, Bauscher Real Estate, the #1 ranked realtor in the Treasure Valley. No home is too big or too small for Matt and his team. Check them out, BauscherRealEstate.com. And Jay, the brand new Bronco Nation News t-shirt that everyone will be getting at the golf tournament. Thanks to Matt Bauscher is sponsoring that. So you'll have the Bauscher Real Estate logo on the back, and you'll have the BNN logo on the front. And so that'll be the I did have to put in a special request though for Jay's shirt to make sure that the arms were big enough. It was a custom made shirt. So you owe me an extra $4, Jay, but
I appreciate that. Thank you.
We found one that'll fit the guns this year.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
John Ojuku, what are your thoughts on John Ojuku? Where do you think he could go? We talked Scott Matlock a little bit yesterday. First, I guess, here's a quick bite from John Ojuku. I caught up with him yesterday. The full interview is available on the BNN YouTube channel if you guys want to go check it out after the show. But here's John Ojuku on this process and how he's feeling about this weekend.
It's been good, talking with teams here and there. The last week, I'd say, or last couple of days, even before the draft, it's every team trying to either reach out for the basic information they need for you for draft night, or, it'll be an O-line coach talking to you. So it's kind of all over the place. You really have to be on top of your phone, just picking it up every, second, just making sure, it's not a team calling or something like that. Sometimes you'll get, spam calls, but just a lot more of, just always being ready to go, basically. It could be, 7 in the morning or 9 p.m. at night, you're talking to a team. Confident that I'm going to get an opportunity, and I can't say whether it's first 7 rounds or, free agent, anything like that. But I know I'm going to get an opportunity. I'm going to do the best I can. That's the only thing I know for sure.
In this day and age, Jay, with all these spam calls, you get that random number from, New York. You're not sure if it's the Jets or the Giants or Mary from the hardship loan company trying to reach out to you. So I guess that does make things a little tougher for these guys.
We're at the day and age, too, where if somebody calls me and I don't have them in my phone book, I'm almost never answering anymore.
Yep.
It's got to be kind of funny for those guys who they look down, somebody's calling them. This is the time in their lives that they probably have to pick it up and answer regardless, right? So they got to talk with Mary from wherever you said, then I guess that's what it is. But that's why I always feel bad though, BJ. Like I'm super cautious of how often I might text these guys or call these guys this time because I don't want to interrupt them from the Bears contacting them or something like that. So
yep. And that was John. I had reached out to all these guys earlier in the week, and it was about 2 days later, yesterday afternoon, John reached back to me. He goes, I think all the NFL teams are done calling. I have time now if you want to do the interview. I was like, oh, that'd be great. But before we bring Tyson on, Jay, just whether it be John, Scott, Tyreek, what's your thoughts? How many? I think it's 4. Call me crazy. It's probably not going to be, but I think Matlock gets drafted for sure. I think John gets drafted, and I think somehow Tyreek Jones sneaks into the 7th round. I don't know why, but I got 4 guys getting drafted for Boise State. Other than JL, how do you sum up the rest of the crew here and even some of the priority free agents?
No, I think that strikes me about this draft class with Boise State is just how engaging this group of guys are, right? Like they have zero baggage. I mean, I don't know how you can really critique any of those guys in a negative way. The 4 that you just mentioned, right, BJ? I mean, they're all a very high character, super hardworking. You could argue that every one of them overachieved what you thought they were going to do when they came into Boise State. It just seems like low risk, high reward for whichever team takes a shot on one of those 4 guys that you mentioned. So whether it be John, Tyreek, I mean, I've had a joy covering those guys over the last 4 to 5 years. I guess in John's case, we're talking like almost a decade because he was in high school and then he went to Boise State for 6 years. Been covering John Ojuku for quite some time. So I hope that all those guys really get to enjoy draft weekend. I hope it's not too stressful for any of them. They seem like they are ready for whatever is thrown their way, whether it be the 2nd round, the 7th round, undrafted free agent. It's a group of high character guys that I think that they're going to squeeze all the juice from the fruit, if you will, regardless of where they end up.
Well, it should be a lot of fun. Looking forward to it again. Hopefully tonight is the night for JL Skinner, and then could be history. Could be the first time since 2012 if Boise State can get 4 guys drafted somehow. You're probably looking at 3. That's probably the safer bet if you had to guess, but I'm hoping for 4, and that would obviously be cool. Hey, Tyson Degenhart is going to join us in just a second, but first, a word from Joe Buck and Sound Story.
Mother's Day is coming up, and I have the perfect gift for you to give your mom this year. It's Sound Story. Hi, this is Joe Buck. Every year we try to come up with the best gift to show our moms how much we appreciate everything they have sacrificed and all they have done for our families. With Sound Story, you can give a gift that mom will love and the whole family will love as well. Sound Story gives you and your family, brothers, sisters, and or moms, grandchildren, whatever, the chance to tell stories of your childhood, your memories of the lessons your mom taught you, and the love she has given you. Sound Story is an hour-long interview conducted in person or via Zoom by your choice of BJ Rains, John Mallory, Mike Prater, or David McKenzie, and it couldn't be easier to purchase. Just go to mysoundstory.com, click on gift certificates, and present your mom with a gift on Mother's Day that she will treasure. And right now, all you have to do is enter promo code BNN15 to save 15% on your Mother's Day Sound Story gift card. Just go to mysoundstory.com and enter promo code BNN15 for 15% off your Mother's Day gift that she and your family will never forget.
Really excited to be a part of this. And again, you can go to mysoundstory.com. And again, if you can have your mother, your grandmother get interviewed, and you can save her kind of life story and preserve that forever. Or for Mother's Day, you can, have you and your siblings get interviewed and present it to your mom on Mother's Day about her and your life. So it's a cool concept. And again, it's in some other markets around the country, but if you go to mysoundstory.com, you just scroll down to view all interviewers, and then you can see Johnny and Prater, myself, and David McKenzie, and mysoundstory.com. Perfect time to book it now. We'll come meet you. You can do an hour-long interview, and you get to have the MP3 audio file forever for you and your family. So excited about that. Also excited, Jay, he even wore the hat for you here as we bring on our friend Tyson Degenhart. It has the Boise State Mariners hat, it looks like. How are we doing, Tyson?
I'm good. How are you guys?
We're doing great, man. We appreciate you for jumping on. What's this like for you? I know you're friends with some of the football players and stuff, and it's draft day, and I know you obviously watched the NBA draft closely and know a lot about that, but I know you're a football guy in general, but also just to see some guys from Boise State get their name called. You get into that and track all that?
A little bit, yeah. It's just such a cool time for these college kids to, have their dreams come true of, getting drafted into the NFL and just giving themselves an opportunity to play in the best league in the world. So it's a very cool experience from a fan perspective.
Hey, any chance you can turn your camera sideways there? I should have told you before, if you don't mind. It might help a little better on the width of the camera here. Jay, while he's figuring that out, if possible, what do you got for him, Jay?
Tyson, what Mariners hat is that? When did you get that, bud?
It's the last year's Mariners BSU games hat, I believe. Okay. I got it from a friend.
I heard it's a jersey this year. I heard it's going to be a Mariners Boise State jersey for the Mariners Boise State Day.
It is a jersey. I saw the design of it. It's a pretty good looking jersey. I might have to sneak up to Seattle to go to that game, but we'll have to wait and see.
I'm sure somebody can find a way to get you one these days, but
when are they going to let Tyson throw out the first pitch at the Mariners game? Man? What do you got to do, dude? Like, you're closing in on 1,000 career points at the college level. You've been to back-to-back NCAA tournaments. Like, when can we get Tyson Degenhart to throw out the first pitch at the Mariners game?
That would be a dream to go do that at some point. I've tried to reach out and I haven't had any luck, so I'm just gonna have to, be persistent about that, and maybe something will happen.
Well,
would you climb up to the top of the mound? Are you gonna stand down in front? Do you let it rip? Do you throw like an ephus pitch in there? Like, what would that look like?
My whole goal, I'd take it from the actual mound. My goal is to throw a strike. I mean, it might lollygag in there. I'm not gonna try to throw up my arm or anything, but definitely gonna have to try to throw a strike.
Aren't you going to be out there at a Boise Hawks game this year at some point? Were you a part of that group? And maybe do you get to throw the first pitch out with that?
Yeah. My date's July 10th. So
okay.
It's a Monday. I'll be out there. So I'm excited for that. And I hope to throw a strike at that one.
Looking forward to that. Jordan says in the comments here, looking forward to seeing you at the softball game this afternoon. Great weather for some softball, and obviously a big weekend as they try to clinch 2 out of 3 would clinch the Mountain West Championship for the softball team. So maybe they can let you throw out the first pitch there and get good vibes going.
If they want me to, I will, but I have not been asked about that.
Come on, Coach Schultz. Let's get it going here. But what are you up to these days, Tyson? Obviously, the season's been over for a month or so. You have some time to decompress. You're finishing up school here for the semester. What's kind of the update with kind of what you're up to these days?
I took like a good month off. I spent some time with some family and just kind of got away from the game a little bit. It was incredible to watch San Diego State do what they did, and I know from our experience playing them, we knew that they could do it, but at the same time, it's hard to see a team that you can beat and then make it to the finals, and just kind of shows that all it takes is one game at a time, and you can get the right draw and you can take it, all the way. So a little bittersweet there, but starting to get back into the swing of things. I'm really excited for this upcoming year, and I think we got some great pieces coming in, and I think we're going to have a great year next year.
Tyson, what are you doing right now? Take us in a little bit of the day in life of Tyson Degenhart, because everybody thinks you're just basketball players, but what are you doing right now? You going to class, coming back from class, hitting the weight room? What's your day look like today?
Well, we got finals week next week, so I got to stay on top of that and just make sure to finish out the semester strong, and then lifting 3 times a week, getting in the gym, getting shots up, and then I got to support the softball team as well.
How much does your off season differ now than it did from last year or even year one? I mean, how focused are you with what you have to do going into this off season?
Oh, it's definitely a different level of focus. I think realizing how close we've been the last 2 years to making history in the NCAA tournament just kind of, it adds a little fuel to the fire, even though we really don't need it. But just another motivational thing for us to make sure that we're giving it our all throughout this off season.
We caught up with Buzo, we caught up with Max the last 2 days, and we're kind of looking back, looking ahead. I mean, how do you look at you've had some time to reflect on it now. How do you look at how you did personally last season? And I know maybe the outside shooting numbers weren't kind of where you wanted, but overall, that second year after what you did as a freshman of the year, how do you think you bounced back? What do you think of your sophomore season this past season?
I have no regrets about my sophomore year. I know the shooting stats weren't what I wanted them to be, but if you put in the work and you give it your all, you can live with the results. And it's the way I look at that. And I know that I learned a lot about myself this past year, about my 3-point shot and all that kind of stuff. So I'm working on improving that for next year.
A lot of the talk, at least in the media and fans, was that maybe it dipped a little because you were having to play the 5 so much and guard big guys and do so much defensively that you were maybe that took a lot out of you. Is that anything to that, or do you have any reason why maybe you didn't quite shoot it as well as you would have liked?
I've talked to some people that could have been a reason. I'm not one to make excuses. I got a lot of open looks, and I just didn't put the ball in the hoop at the end of the day. So if that's what they want to say, that's good on them.
Tyus, you obviously hold yourself to a pretty high standard, man. I mean, what would you like to shoot from 3? Because if you take out just the first couple of games of the season when you were kind of rotating in and out of your lineup, you shot almost 38% from 3. I mean, there's a lot of guys that would hang their hat on that with a lot of pride.
I mean, realistically, I'd like to shoot 40. I know I shot around 42 my freshman year, and I think that's something I know I can continue to do and just keep improving on that. So it's a work in progress, but I think that's a goal for me next year, to shoot 40% from 3.
What we do have a question, I guess that's part of it, but Kareem the Dream wanting to know, what are you looking to improve most in your game next season?
I think I need to add more of a mid-range game. I feel like there's a part of my offense game where it's a little 2-dimensional, and it could add that third dimension, could really, add another level to my game. Cause I can shoot the 3, I can post up and score inside, but that little mid-range game with 1 to 2 dribble pull-ups, floaters, that kind of game would add tremendous value to it.
Adding Cam Martin and adding Omar Stanley to the mix, how do you think that having those 2 guys is maybe going to help you in terms of your role and the position you're going to play? And what'd you make of Omar Stanley and Cam Martin getting added to the mix there down low?
I think they're great additions, and they do some great things in their own way. Like, Cam's very good shooter, can score inside. Omar's very athletic, like a Naj type player, and that's the type of guys that we need this upcoming year. So really excited to have them, and I think they'll make a big impact this upcoming year.
I know that you're looking to replace talent, but you say a Naj type of player, which that's more than points or rebounds per game or anything like that. So when you find a guy that can maybe, I'm not saying replace Naj, because Naj is like an all-timer for me, man. Like, his character was just so cool to get to know. But when you find a guy that might have some of his attributes, is that comforting at all? A guy with experience, is going to kind of help bring the team together, and Omar Stanley?
It's definitely comforting. I know that Naj brought a lot of energy and this happiness and joy to our team, and I think Omar can do that same type of thing. And just to know that we have a guy like that on our team is a huge blessing.
How involved are you with these transfers that come in, and what do you try to convey to them when they do arrive on campus for their official visits, Tyson?
Just to tell them that, we have a really good spot for them. I know Coach does a really good job about finding the right guys for the positions we need, and just telling them that this is a perfect fit. You've seen past transfers really work out. Abu, E-Man, Shaver. You can go down the line about transfers. Even Buzo now. We have really good transfer history, and we have a really good fit for that certain player, and it works out a lot of the time.
Max was saying yesterday he thinks this is the most talented roster he's been a part of in his time here playing. And that's, saying a lot, being here 5-6 years. As you go into your third season here, I mean, I know you haven't played a ton with the incoming freshmen, obviously, maybe on their visit or something, so you're still learning about them. But with the guys you've added in the transfer portal, the freshmen coming in, the guys you have coming back, I mean, what's the ceiling for this team? How good can this team be, you think?
This team can really make a run in the tournament. I don't want to put like a cap on it because, it just all it takes is, one game to get hot in the tournament. So I think we can accomplish anything we put our mind to. And I'm excited to, see where this team can go. But at the start, we got to keep working this summer and get ready for that November 1st game.
You mentioned San Diego State and what they did. I mean, is that I know you're happy for them, obviously, for the league, but was that like a little bit like, why can't that be us? Like, if they can get to the championship game and you beat them, like, there's no reason you guys can't make a run, right?
Oh, most definitely. I think that's why it was so bittersweet. It was great for the league to have a team make it to the national championship game, and for us to be their last loss for that stretch up until that championship game. But at the same time, it's definitely hard seeing a team that you can compete with on any given night and see them in the championship. Is a little hard watching from the sidelines.
Tyson, I know like guys like you and Max, and I mean this in an affectionate way, like you're basketball junkies, right? So as you kind of monitor like what's going on around the conference, like how wild is it? Because I mean, you guys are one of the only teams in the league that didn't lose a starter to the transfer portal. And so as you kind of monitor like what New Mexico's doing or how San Diego State's reloading, like what is your reaction? How wild is it? Because it almost like shifts and moves daily, it seems at this point.
It's way crazier than I ever thought it would be. I remember like every time you transferred, you have to sit out a year unless you were a grad transfer, and you had to sign a waiver if you wanted to transfer in conference. But we're seeing a lot of guys transfer in conference, which should be an interesting, thing this upcoming year with like Javante Johnson going to CSU, Jamal Baker going to New Mexico. You just see a couple guys like that. It's definitely interesting, but it's also an exciting time just to see how good these teams can get through the transfer portal.
It almost seems like it creates like this sense of urgency though, right? Because like, any day that another team could get better. So if you're not doing everything you can to get better, you could be slacking behind.
Absolutely. I think a lot of the time now it's win now and develop later. It seems like in some cases, I think, in the past time with college basketball, it was get your guys develop. And then when the three seniors graduated, you had 3 incoming freshmen, you just kept the same core guys. And I think now you see, different groups each and every year.
Tyson, I'm just going to throw this out there. If you don't want to answer it, you don't have to. But I know you're solid. You're locked in. You're obviously not going anywhere. But in the, Jay mentions the transfer portal. I mean, have schools tried to reach out to you? I mean, whether it be last year or this year, are people back channels through parents or agents? I mean, we know it's a crazy thing out there. I mean, what's it like for a player like you? Have you had to fend off or tell people you're not interested in potentially transferring, which technically is supposed to be against the rules until you enter the portal? But we all know that doesn't happen.
Surprisingly, I haven't had anyone reach out to me, so it's been a very easy thing. I think people know like I'm locked into Boise State and I'm not looking to go anywhere else. It's a perfect spot for me, coaching staff, players. I love the city, and with the proximity to home for me, it makes a lot of sense just for me to stay.
Was that the case last offseason?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, that's good to hear. Good to hear. I think Boise State fans are excited to hear that. Final thing from me, Tyson. I mean, you're going to take a little bit more time off. You finish school and then you get back in the gym. I mean, you mentioned how motivating, how hungry this team is. Are you excited to get back in June or whenever the official workouts with everybody start and kind of see what you have with this group?
It's a very exciting time. I think once that June date comes around and we'll have everyone on campus in one area, it'll be great just to get with each other and get in the gym and then spend some time with each other just to get to know each other, because I think from the last, this is my third year here. I think this is the newest team we've had with however many new guys we have. I think we have 7 off the top of my head. So that'll be a good chance for us to build up some chemistry and get to know each other and, build those bonds that'll take us far into the season.
Tyson, I'll get you out of here on this one. You look at what you've been able to do in your time at Boise State, and it's been pretty remarkable. I mean, since you stepped into the starting lineup, I believe it's something like you guys have a 48-15 record. I mean, that's outstanding. You've been to 2 NCAA tournaments in your only 2 years of playing college basketball. You are kind of developing this history that's going to be really hard for someone to replicate. And I wrote a little article earlier this year where I said you're kind of becoming the Kellen Moore of the Boise State basketball team. And when you look at what you've been able to do and what you still can achieve, how satisfied are you with what you've done, and how excited for you with what you still can achieve as a Bronco?
Well, first I want to say I don't deserve to be in the same realm as Kellen Moore. He was far and out of this world, probably one of the best athletes to come through Boise State, and I don't think I'm there, but I appreciate it. But I'm very satisfied with how my first 2 years have gone. I know that we would have wanted those end of the year, the tournament games to go a little bit differently, but what I said it earlier, if you put your everything into it, and you have to live with the results, and that's what happens. And so just want to make sure that these last 2 years are, I give it my all, and then I can look back at my college career and know that I gave it everything I had, and then I can sleep easy at night.
Well, Tyson, we appreciate your time, man. Thanks for squeezing us in here between classes and workouts and things. And best of luck finishing up school with finals and things. That's one thing I don't miss, Jay, about college, is having to take final exams. So good luck, Tyson. Hope it goes well. And I'm sure we'll be catching up with you again soon.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
There he is, Tyson Degenhart. We appreciate him for coming on. And Jay, I always enjoy catching up with Tyson, man. He's the best.
He's a great dude. I know that he can dismiss that. I would expect nothing less of him, but let's face it, winning defined Kellen Moore's career, and winning is certainly beginning to define Tyson Degenhart's career. And he is quickly going, transitioning from being a Bronco to a unicorn, if you will, just because his career it's so far, it really is one of a kind. I mean, nobody, no player that has impacted the game like he has for Boise State has been to back-to-back NCAA tournaments. And
if he gets him the first win, if he gets him the first tournament win, he'd be making history. That would
likely, I know financially, no, but just in terms of achievement, it would be comparable to, a Fiesta Bowl type victory that the Bronco football program got.
He can also, he can downplay that. He can also downplay other schools trying to reach out to him and stuff like that. There's no chance that people wouldn't have been interested in Tyson Degenhart.
He's a humble kid, and that's like, his loyalty is through the roof. And I'm not even, I don't even want to speculate because it's probably unfair because of what he's showed. But if there's one day where he wants to try to do something, like, I wouldn't fault the kid at all. But so far he showed that his loyalty is through the roof here. And like I said, he's a one of a kind dude.
Yeah. He looks like he's a Bronco through and through, and he's all in. And Boise State fans, be excited the next 2 years, it sounds like, because you got a lot to look forward to with Tyson Degenhart and this team. Jay, in one word, is tonight the night for JL Skinner?
Yes.
Okay, me too. I agree. Hope it happens. I hope it happens. The draft there in Kansas City, rounds 2 and 3 tonight. Is it 6 o'clock or 5 o'clock Mountain Time?
I believe 5 o'clock our time.
An hour earlier this year, or tonight, I think. So 5 o'clock Mountain Time. We'll see what time JL Skinner hopefully goes tonight. And we'll have full coverage. Jay will have full coverage tonight on the news at 10. KTVB will have you covered, Bronco Nation News as well. So JL Skinner hopefully tonight, and then hopefully Scott Matlock, John Ojuku and Tyreek Jones can all find their name tomorrow. And then you got George Tarlas and Zeke Noah and Tyreek LaBeouf and a lot of guys trying to get free agent deals as well. So a lot to look forward to, a lot to pay attention to, and Jay will have you covered all weekend on KTVB, and we'll have you covered as well. Bronco Nation News, BroncoNationNews.com. So, Jay, appreciate you, man. As always, have a good Friday, good weekend. I'm sure we'll see you around maybe at softball today or later this weekend. I'll be joining Johnny and Prater. They're doing a show at the Western Proper downtown today on KTIK. I'm going to stop by for my segment there today and then go check out softball for a little bit. So appreciate you, Jay. Thank you to all the comments. Sorry we couldn't get to them all. Thank you to everybody that watched the show. We had very almost record viewership probably, so very good viewership. I'm sure it was all because of Jay, not Tyson. But we appreciate you, and have a good rest of your weekend. We'll start our 20 questions off-season football series Monday, and we'll recap the draft and everything as well. So have a great weekend. We'll talk to you later. Bronco Nation News, BroncoNationNews.com.